Mentioned 2 Game 7s on Sunday as Luka and the Mavs said no mas to the #1 seeded Phoenix Suns, not just sending them packing in Phoenix, but blowing them out by 33. There are levels to this, and Luka is on another one, 35, 10, and 4. Here's Jason Kidd on silencing those critics.
We don't know how far this can go. That's why we got to play them. That's why we showed up to play this evening. No one gave us a chance. A lot of people said it was going to be a blowout. Well, they were right. But they didn't have us on the winning side.
Were you aware at halftime you had as many points as the Suns?
Yeah, of course.
It was a good old-fashioned ass whooping, beginning to end.
All right, Chris Paul had 10, Devin Booker 11. Stephen A., I'll start with you here. What went wrong for the Suns?
Everything. That's the first answers. Props to the Dallas Mavericks. I got to apologize. I didn't see this coming. I knew Luka was going to do what he was going to do. I had no idea Spencer Dinwiddie would play like that. I thought Jalen Brunson would do his thing. But to be up by 30 at the half, or Luka to have as many points as the Phoenix Suns in the first half, for them to be up as many as 46 in a Game 7, it was the largest halftime deficit in the history of a Game 7. It was one of the largest deficits, the 46-point deficit in NBA history. It was a complete catastrophe on the part of the Phoenix Suns. It don't get much worse than what we saw yesterday. DeAndre Ayton, good luck in getting your max dollars. That's going to be compromised. You, Devin Booker, you still a star. Mad respect for you in the whole bit. But a Game 7 defines legacies. We all know this. When you don't show up in a Game 7 in epic fashion the way that they did yesterday, that is the kind of stuff that stays attached to you throughout your career unless you offset it by coming back to win a championship. That's just the way it is, JJ and Bev. Y'all know that. That's number 2. Number 3, I'm sad for my man Chris Paul because from the moment he turned 37, he's been awful. Averaging 9 points, 3.5 turnovers. I don't know what the hell happened to him over the last 4 or 5 games. When they lost 4 of those last 5 games, I don't know what the hell happened. Since he dropped 28 points in Game 2, Chris Paul has made 18 shots and has committed 18 turnovers the rest of this series. That's all he did. And so when you look at it from that perspective, I know they think they'll be back next year, but I'm looking at all the teams in the Western Conference, and I got serious concerns about the future. It was very, very bad. Period. No excuses. They got their butts whipped.
No, they're not going back. They're not going back. The NBA is going to be way more healthier next year. The competition is going to be stiff. People understand the way to win against Phoenix, and that is attacking Chris Paul. If you watch the game, if I'm a coach and if I'm playing Phoenix Suns in the playoffs, I'm holding my hat on that. It worked. Wear them down, make them play D, make them score, make them facilitate, and we go have our hats at the end of who will win. And that's what Dallas did. You have to give Jason Kidd a lot of credit. A lot of credit. He did a hell of a job.
I've talked about the Phoenix Suns in a glowing light all season. I've talked about Book and CP in a glowing light all season. And CP is a dear friend, but they deserve all the slander that they are going to get over the coming weeks and months for that Game 7 performance.
And they talk so much. My God.
We talk. I was on here last.
I'll come back to you.
I was on here last week, and we've said the same thing. I said the same thing as you. It was 2-2. I said ultimately, I think Suns win this series. I did Game 6 on Thursday. And I think Dallas had figured them out. And I had a really hard time believing that they were going to win yesterday, that Suns would be able to win yesterday. Luka came out, he snatched their soul. Like there was something that happened there in that first quarter and a half, where he just took their soul. He took all the life out of that team. That's how good he is. To your point, they attacked CP. Game 6 and 7, CP scored 23 points. As the primary defender, when he was guarding, he gave up 33 points, 118 points per possession when he was the primary defender in Game 6 and 7. That's league best offense.
I'm looking at as you know those numbers. I'm looking at
that is league best offense. So the formula: you blitz CP, you don't play drop, you force him to his left hand, and you attack him. Because when you get down to the playoffs, we've seen this year especially. When you get down to the playoffs, what matters? Size matters.
Right.
You need big wings. You need a player like Giannis. That's why losing Chris Middleton was so important, for the Celtics to win that series. You need size. And like, I love CP. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest point guards of all time. He's one of them, Pat. He's absolutely one of them.
Is this window let up?
But
Hop out.
I do question if he is your best player.
Right.
If he is your best player, is your ceiling a championship team?
Well-
and so far, historically, the answer to that is no.
The ceiling is not a championship team. That's number one. Let's get that out of the way. You get blown out and you down by 46 in a game 7 on your home court. Everything goes out the window.
Yep.
You have been significantly humbled and exposed. Those are the two words that come to my mind, humbled and exposed. Yeah, Luka did what he did, but I'm not surprised by that. I expected Luka to do his thing. What I didn't expect is that the reason why I picked the Phoenix Suns to win this game is because they were getting blown out on the road and they were winning at home. The role players seemed to be different in Dallas than they were when they went on the road. And that's what I was counting on. I was thinking about game 7. Pressurized environment. It's going to have to come down to Luka. And Luka alone wins you at home, but on the road, not so much. So I was assuming that Phoenix was going to do what they were supposed to do in game 7. But let's call it what it is. They got their ass kicked. And I mean thoroughly. It was a beat down. And if you are Devin Booker, you've also been humbled because, again, Luka is such a star. That was your opportunity to remind everybody you were 1-2. And so you're a part of that team that gets blown out that way. You have absolutely no answer whatsoever. It comes down to that. But I'll go to you, Bev, because I want you to elaborate. You're talking about Phoenix talk so much. Give us some perspective, some insight on what it's like to play against the Phoenix Suns.
I mean, we are in Phoenix. We're playing against them, and we're going to see you guys in the playoff. You guys are going to be the AC. You guys who we want to see. But I'm going to pause it right there. All right. If Kawhi's not hurt, Phoenix doesn't go to the championship last year.
I agree with that.
Let's be honest.
No, I agree with that.
So why are we the next year talking about how great?
Because they turned
Phoenix-
around and they won 64 games.
They're a seasoned team. Their system is great. Their system is a system that all the players know. Their coach, they have all the players coming back. They had the main core been there. They just added CP. Their coach has been phenomenal. Of course, you're supposed to win a lot of games. You're made up to win a lot of games.
64 games says something.
Man, and then get blowed out says another.
I agree that, but I'm saying if they win yesterday, we're not saying that because they had won 64 games.
And then
that's why we anticipated they were going to the conference finals. I thought Golden State was going to take them out. That was my belief all year. They was going to meet Phoenix, and they were going to take them out because Dallas was a body short.
We wanted them first round.
Minnesota wanted them first round.
First round.
Karl Anthony Towns wanted them first round.
Anthony Edwards wanted them first round.
Anthony Edwards. I mean, don't get me started, but that's a big time, bro.
You guys should have lost to the Clippers then.
We don't do that, but no.
I think there's an element here. I talked about this earlier this morning. There is an element here, just X's and O's wise. I think this is important to note.
Okay.
The Phoenix Suns have one of the worst shot profiles in the NBA, in the modern NBA. Pat Bev, what do teams try to get? Threes, layups, free throws, right?
Corner threes.
You're right. They operate in the mid-range. They're bottom 5 in the league in the regular season in three-point attempts. They're bottom 5 in the league in the regular season in free throw attempts per game. Now in the playoffs, they're 15th out of 16th in those two categories. Mm-hmm. They just don't generate enough pressure on the rim to create three-point opportunities. And what Dallas did in this series, they're up on every Chris Paul pick and roll. They're late switching on he can't get to that elbow jumper.
Yep.
Devin Booker, every time he gets a dribble handoff, every time he's in a pick and roll, they're blitzing that action. The Suns don't have that third guy. They don't have that third perimeter scorer.
But fellas, we're not having a conversation about why Phoenix lost. We're having a conversation about why.
It says down there what went wrong for Phoenix.
You interrupted. Hear my point. We're not having a conversation about why Phoenix lost in theory. We're having a conversation about why they were down by 46 points.
Scared.
30 at the half.
They were scared.
So now that's where, what are you saying to that?
Basketball player, you could see it in their eyes. They were scared. It ain't about Luka taking their soul. They knew starting the game what was going to happen. He's done it before. They watch, trust me. They have iPhones. They have Instagram. They see the numbers of Luka Doncic averaging 39. They hear me saying, man, he did it to me. He did it to me, Kawhi and Paul George. I'm damn sure he going to do it to them. They know that. Boys scared of Luka. Ain't nobody afraid of anybody over there in Phoenix, man. Everybody in the league knows that, bro. Like, it's just that y'all don't know that because y'all not in the locker room. No one's afraid of Phoenix. We wanted them. No one's afraid of Phoenix. I talked to some teammates. I ain't going to say who because I'm going to say who. Forget it. I talked to Paul George last night. Man, Pat, ain't nobody scared of them. But you face Dallas. You ain't scared of Dallas, but, man, you
scared of Luka.
Hey, man, you got to get your game right when you play Luka. I'm just being honest.
Right.
I want to go back to something really quick that you said earlier, Pat. You don't think CP3 is one of the greatest point guards?
My opinion. And of
Tell
course,
me why.
if I did a job and I had a freedom to do a job for 17 years, and I got the keys to the Lamborghini in order to do the job, and I did it, and I was healthy, I took care of my body, I did all the small things for me to stay consistent in this league, and I did it for 17 years, I better have some damn numbers. I better have numbers. And that's what I'm saying. If J.J. Redick was played with freedom for 17 years, the way he played with the Clippers, if he played like that for 17 years, he had a he had a record. No discredit to Steph Curry. I'm just saying, over a long period of time, you should get those numbers. And over a long period of time, you play the game long enough, you go get numbers.
But doesn't the brother deserve credit for lasting that long and being in the league that long?
You just said the longevity, taking care of it.
Small things.
And being good enough to be given the keys? Like, they're not giving the keys to the Lambo to any driver.
But then what about in clutch moments?
Well, this is where, to me, we're going to bring up his playoff failings. Chris Paul, for his career, has been better in the playoffs than in the regular season. Mm-hmm. These 5 games, he was terrible. He was terrible. This was not the CP3 that we've gotten used to. The one thing, you bring up a valid point about, the legacy and the opinion of it being based on his freedom, right? I get it. But you still have to be good enough to be given freedom. You still have to be good enough.
If you're a
you
top
still have to be
pick,
good enough to do it that long, Pat. You know that. There's guys that do it for 2 or 3 years. To do it for 17 years at his level.
He hasn't done it for 17 years. He's done it for 15 years because he didn't make the playoffs a couple years.
Okay, there's another.
I'm just being honest. I'm just not going to let y'all up here and just say anything.
First of all,
and I'm going to be like, okay, I agree.
Excuse me.
I'm
First
not
of all,
We don't want you to do that.
First of all, you're first take, my brother. You entitled to say
No,
that.
you disagree with everything.
We
You're actually
we
made
good.
for First
We
Take.
good. It's no problem. It's no problem.
It's a perfect show for
but I want to
Pat
ask
Beverley.
you because I'm going to ask this question. This is to both of you guys because it's a very important question. CP3 turned 37 last Friday, and from the moment he turned 37, over these last 5 games, it just plummeted. I'm looking at CP3 numbers here. 28.4 million next season. 30.8 million the season after that.
That's 39.
30.8 million. 30.8 million in 2024-25. That's his last year.
I think there's a partial
So,
fourth year.
it's a partial. It is a partial fourth. What I'm asking is this: so we got 2.5 years left where he's gonna make this money. He's gonna be in there, whatever. Was the last 5 games an aberration, or was it an indication of things to come? Because does it hit you that quick, that drastic, where there's just a complete drop-off that you can't recover from, or are we gonna just sit up here and say CP3 had a bad 5 games?
So I just think I'm gonna go first. And I'll let
You go ahead.
Laz, you said 37 5 days ago.
Yeah, last Friday.
Last Friday.
Last Friday.
And that's when the game plan changed to start attacking Chris Paul.
Okay. 9 days ago.
To be a two-way player in this league is extremely hard, and we don't give them enough credit. To be able to play defense, to be able to play, make, facilitate, and get your own bucket is extremely hard. Extremely hard for anybody at whatever age. And that's all we've seen.
Okay.
They just took his legs away from him. They took his legs away from him. And there was a reason why he was shooting a high percentage. He shot all spot ups. He didn't have to move. Look at the game. Look at the game. Just look at the game. He shot all spot up tray.
And I agree, but what I'm saying is based on what you're saying, is that what we should expect from him in the future?
Man, if I'm a coach next year, man, I'm doing the same game plan. With Chris Paul, maybe not for the season because you can get away from the season. Ref's not going to call all that ticky-tack stuff. They're going to send CP to the free throw line 13, 14 times. But in the playoffs, if I'm a coach, man, I'll be attacking him from the start and see how dominoes lay.
The blueprint is absolutely there for how to attack CP in the playoffs. And look, he'll probably have another great season, and if they keep this core together, the Phoenix Suns will win a lot of games. They probably won't win 64 next year. But to keep size on him, to blitz him, to be up and pick and roll. You think about last year against you guys when Zubac was on the floor, when Jokic was on the floor against Denver. We watched in the first round against Valanciunas. Like, you just can't play drop coverage in the playoffs against CP. I don't understand why teams would do that. And credit to Dallas, they made that adjustment. And then, as you said, like, size matters. At this point, at 37, he'll be 38 next year in the playoffs. The size matters. It will catch up to him. Yes, absolutely.
All right, I think we're letting Devin Booker off the hook, though, because we're just focusing on Chris Paul here. I have numbers here. He's 0 for 11 from three-point the last two games when the Suns were facing elimination. What does that say to you?
What has he done before? I mean, of
Well,
course.
people were saying he could become the face of the league.
I'm saying I'm gonna make him the face of the league. This they gonna do that regardless because his face is perfect for it. But I'm saying, what has he done before? I mean, he's only made the playoffs one time before. Like, why are we just jumping on a boat and just like?
No, the brother got game now. I mean, I
So
thought
no
he
one
was
in
a top 5
no one in the
MVP
league is scared of
candidate.
him either. That he can
Nobody
get hot and go off.
Devin Booker.
No, I'm
Man, y'all
asking.
stop, man. When I compare people like Devin Booker, I put him in the same category as the same tier of Luka Doncic when you talk about players, right? Not the same game,
Okay.
but I'm saying when you talk about young rising stars, right? You have to put him, Trey Young in there. You have to put Luka in there. You have to put Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum.
Hold on. Let me put
But
Bev.
Luka's
hold
at
on,
the same
hold
level?
on,
I'm
hold
confused.
on. Let me put Bev on the spot here. I would put Devin Booker in the same class offensively. I would put him in the same class as a Paul George.
As who?
Paul George, your former teammate, who is a star in this league.
Hey, man.
Paul George is a star. Is he not?
Which Paul George?
What do you mean, which Paul George?
I'm asking a serious question. Before you get all
The
before
Paul
you go all,
George. The Paul George of the
colorful.
Clippers.
Okay,
The
which
Paul
one?
George.
Also
you
the
wanna-
Clippers, not the Indiana one, because they're different ages. So give me the Paul George you're talking about.
Damn it.
I'm being honest. You can't give me the last year Hakeem Olajuwon and compare Shaq to the prime Olajuwon.
Before he had the nasty knee injury, there was a
So we
athletic
compare.
Paul
No,
George.
let's compare Indiana Paul George with Devin Booker.
No,
not even close.
I'm saying this Paul George that's on the Clippers, I still find to be a star in this league.
I agree. But
So
he's-
Devin Booker's not on that level?
no. Now he is, but prime Paul George, no.
But you are putting him in the same level as Luka. That's where I'm getting confused.
I'm putting him in the same category as rising stars
Okay.
as Luka, as the face of the.
No, he's not. Luka has shown there's a distinct difference between him and Devin Booker. I'll give you that.
You guys are talking about basketball. I'm not talking about basketball. I'm talking about a group of guys, 5 guys that's going to be rising stars in the NBA for time to come. Right? That's what I'm saying. That's the category he's in.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Luka is making it happen.
Yes.
Luka has made it happen since day one. Not saying that Devin Booker hasn't. Luka has made it happen since day one. In the playoffs, too.
Yes.
Come on, man. Y'all can't get this man Devin Booker all this. He only made the playoffs one time before. Only one time.
I think there's an important distinction. Let's get aside from the Paul George, Devin Booker comparison.
Not even close.
Because I don't even think that's worth arguing about. But there's a difference between being a top 5 player and being a star. There's a difference between being a top 5 player and a rising star. There's a difference between being a top 5 player and an all-star. There's a difference top 5 All-NBA. When you're a top 5 player, your team has a chance to win a championship.
Is he a top 5 player?
That's it. That's
Not-
it.
not
Luka,
top five.
Luka, Kawhi Leonard with Toronto, Giannis last year, like LeBron. You need a top 5 player to win a championship. Historically speaking, in the NBA, top 5 player currently, right then, in the moment, top 5. That's what you need. And the Suns don't have that right now. That's a fact.
I will tell you this. It's amazing what one game can do. Because if this were reversed, and Phoenix was the one that had was up by 46 yesterday, and they were blowing Dallas out of the building, and Devin Booker had played that way instead of Luka, we might be having a different conversation. But because of what actually happened, Devin Booker does not realize the damage that this loss has done. When you look at him, you're going to look at him differently now. Because a game 7 with everything on the line, everybody know you got to show up.
But how did you look at him before?
What I looked at him is, I still look at him as a star, but let me be very clear. I still looked at him as a star. I had him as one of my top 5 league MVP candidates this year.
What type of star? The 5-pointer star or the 6-point? Because this is different.
I don't even know how to answer that.
5-point. He's a 6-pointer star, and I've never seen that in person.
What does that mean?
That means that you don't really see those type of stars all the time. They come and go. He's not, man. He's not a star.
No,
Stephen,
you're right
this
about
is
that.
the second time
You've seen
now
that
we've-
before. That's true.
Stephen,
You put
this is
star
the
in-
second time he's done this in an elimination game. So what does it say to you now?
What it says to me is that he's not what we thought he was. Period. It doesn't mean that he can't play. It doesn't mean that he's not a star caliber player, but there are levels to this. And when you don't show up when it counts most, that gets held against you because that separates, or to use all the categories that you threw out there, that's where the separation takes place.
So I'm not comparing Devin Booker to Giannis by any stretch of the imagination, but when Giannis had his failures in Milwaukee, we had a lot of these same conversations. Giannis, who has grown up and matured, he has talked about this during these playoffs and how valuable those failures are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question is going forward about Devin Booker. What will we talk
Can he
about him
get
going
there?
forward? Can he
response,
get there?
My response is yes. But
Will
until
he learn?
Until he gets there,
no
this is
doubt,
where he
no
is.
doubt. Which
For
is the
viewers,
same reason we're going to have.
What does there mean?
Get there is winning a game like last night.
No, because he won't be in that position again.
Because Phoenix is not going to win.
Come
That's what
on,
you're
are
saying.
you kidding me? No.
I mean, that's presently constructed, yeah, but then what they pulled off a trade or something. You never know what's going to happen. So I'm just saying.
But you're saying a lot of
He didn't
ifs.
mince his words.
A lot of ifs.
As constructed.
A lot of ifs.
As constructed,
If
I
was the
believe
fifth, we'll all
this was
be true.
Phoenix's last chance as constructed.
Hey, you're flying